Here's a look at Macbeth Act II. This act opens late at night with Banquo walking the castle with his son Fleance. Fleance says, "Dad, it's really late. Shouldn't we go to bed?" And Banquo says, "Sorry, son, I just can't sleep. I've got all types of weird dreams happening." At this point, they come upon Macbeth, and Banquo's like, "What are you doing up so late?" "Never mind about that," Banquo says. "I've been thinking about the three witches. That was some crazy stuff they told us." Macbeth says, "Oh, I haven't thought about them once. But sometime when we have a chance, the two of us should sit down and discuss the whole thing together." Banquo thinks this would be a good idea. At that point, Banquo and Fleance leave, and Macbeth is alone. He sees a vision in his mind of a dagger pointing him towards Duncan, and he's concerned because the air seems to be filled with witchcraft and evil. But he hears the bell, the symbol from Lady Macbeth that the guards have been drugged, and he steels himself to go and murder Duncan. Early the next morning, there is a loud and insistent banging on the castle gates. The porter stumbles to open the doors. At this point, the porter lets in Lennox and Macduff, who is another Scottish nobleman. Macduff is like, "What took you so long to answer the door?" And the porter says, "I'm sorry, I got a little drunk last night. It makes you do funny things." Macbeth arrives to see what's going on, and Macduff says, "Duncan asked me to come visit him early. Where is he?" To which Macbeth replies, "Duncan is still sleeping. Why don't you go find him?" As Macduff leaves to go find Duncan, Macbeth asks Lennox how his night was. Lennox responds, "It was filled with storms and earthquakes and other ill omens. The most evil night I've seen in my lifetime." Macbeth is about to respond when Macduff rushes in, screaming the news that Duncan has been murdered. Macbeth and Lennox rush off to confirm the news, at which point Lady Macbeth enters and asks Macduff what is going on. Macduff informs her that Duncan has been murdered, at which point Lady Macbeth puts on a very convincing act about how distraught she is that something like this could happen in her own home. At this point, everyone enters the scene: Lennox, Macbeth, Banquo, Malcolm, and Donalbain, Duncan's youngest son. Lennox informs everyone that it appears that the bodyguards have killed Duncan, as they were found covered with blood and with a dagger nearby. Macduff asks, "Where are they now?" And Macbeth says, "I killed them where they stood when I saw what they had done." Macduff says, "Why would you do that?" And Macbeth says, "I was so filled with rage when I saw that they had killed Duncan that I couldn't contain myself. Anyone would have done it." Macduff seems to be about to disagree, but at that point, Lady Macbeth faints, startling everyone, and they all rush off to take care of her, leaving Malcolm and Donalbain alone. Malcolm says, "Look, if they killed Dad, surely we are next." To which Donalbain replies, "Perhaps it would be best if we fled. Let's split up." So Malcolm decides that he will flee to England, while Donalbain decides to flee to Ireland. The scene shifts, and we see Ross speaking with an old man discussing the ill omens that have happened. At which point Macduff enters the scene, and Ross asks him, "What happened? What's going on?" So Macduff informs him that the Thanes have met and have declared that Macbeth shall be the new King of Scotland. Meanwhile, Malcolm and Donalbain are suspected of having bribed the bodyguards to kill Duncan and are therefore now the chief suspects in the murder. And that is the end of Act II of Macbeth.